Hello, welcome to the weekly poster roundup. We're going to be talking about the whole Wicked poster controversy. We're going to get to that eventually in this video. This is going to be a regular weekly poster roundup, but just way quicker because I was on break last week, so I wasn't able to get around to last week's posters. So this is going to be a lot of posters. I think my reviews today are going to be really quick fire. So this is going to be a kind of a strange video. If you want to just hear my thoughts on the Wicked controversy, you can skip ahead. I leave timestamps at the bottom of all of my videos. But until then, let's talk. We got our first one, All We Imagine Is Light. I've heard good things about this movie. It's pretty standard poster. We've already seen a lot of these kind of indie posters with the yellow text going downwards and it's just over one still image. This one's done really nicely. I really like the overhead space. I like the play with the blue and the yellow in general, and the fact that they're both kind of looking at an object, it creates a level of intrigue for the audience. I'm going to put it as a B. Then we get to Anora. This is maybe my favorite Anora poster so far. I just love the figure that's kind of made with this. It kind of reminds me of that classic Showgirls poster. It has all of the same kind of elements as all the previous Anora posters. It's got the same sort of neon glow in the title. It's got the same sort of font. But one thing that I really like about this one, other than like the shape that Anora creates, I love the kind of the streaks of glow in her hair and how they match the title. It's just such a beautiful, cohesive vision, and I think that this is super enticing, super seductive. I might put it as like a high A, and if nothing breaks into the S, then I'll move it up. Okay, The Apprentice. I love the cohesion of the color. Everything's gold, and I think that that's very much like a color palette that the poster designer has decided to implement in basically all of the posters. And I think that the fact that he's getting plastic surgery done on his face, it sort of shows sort of like the superficiality of Trump, and I think that that's sort of what the movie's trying to get to. So it's a very intriguing poster. I like it. I don't love this tagline here because I don't know if that's like satirical, oh, he's self-made, or if that's like a quote from somebody. It's a little bit confusing, and I just don't know if it really adds all that much to the poster. This is going to be like a high B for me. Okay, Becoming Hitchcock. This is normally one of those posters that I would maybe delete because of its like a low profile, but I really like the way that this poster is done. I love the color palette. Everything's in black and white and red. The way her dress is like the only thing that's in color in the photo. The way that she's within Alfred Hitchcock's silhouette. I just love the spacing. The layout is really great. All of this negative space up here adds so much to kind of accentuate the iconic Hitchcock silhouette. It's a beautiful poster. I love the way that the text is laid out there with Studio Canal at the top, creating this nice little hourglass shape. I think it's a really, really well done poster, and this knife just really adds intrigue to the whole thing. I think I'm going to put it in A. Okay, this one I think is amazing. I love this poster. Maybe the one setback with this poster is that it reminds me more of like a poster for an art exhibition than a film. But if you're asking me, I think that that's probably one of the things I like most about it. It's such a unique concept. We have this person who's like been cut out and this person in the chair sort of taking their place. It's just such a unique vision, and I just love how subtle everything else is. We have these laurels, which are relatively big to the title and everything else. All this text is just compact and nice. I don't know. I think that this is definitely a poster that I could see hanging up on my wall. This is like a perfect example of less is more. And it's just like, we don't need that much, but something immediately interesting and captivating is all you need to like really make a really great poster. So I love it. I think that this is an S. Okay, Bird. The new Andrea Arnold film. I'm excited to see it. I love the font that they used for the logo. It's super cool. I love the whole style of, him floating, or this person, I am assuming it's a boy, it could be a girl, floating in the water. Immediately captivating. It's quite a beautiful image, and I feel like it reflects the tone of the movie. But this text is just a little bit clunky and all over the place. And I think that it does have sort of like artsy festival movie sort of vibe to it. So I can see why they have all this text like this, but I don't think it's the most aesthetically pleasing. But I still think it is a B. Carry On. I really love the concept here. We have the carry-on luggage and the shadows that are created between him and the carry-on. We have this like great, close-up image of Taron Egerton. This reminds me of something that you would see in like an old 60s noir poster. There's just something about the execution that's like a little bit lacking for me. I don't know if maybe his face should be a bit more shadowed. It just leans a little bit on the commercial side when it could lean a bit more on the artsy conceptual side, which in theory this concept lends itself to that. It does lend itself to something a bit more artsy and conceptual, but I think by him being so clearly in focus and well lit, it kind of loses a little bit of that, and it does look like a floating head. That might just be a nitpick. I think I'm still going to put it in B, and I think it's my favorite of the Bs so far. Okay, I love this poster. This one reminds me of something from like the 70s. This is like such a cool concept of, again, less is more. We have 2/3 of this poster just being like a red backdrop. We have just very sparse text. The thing is that this concept does seem a little bit more like maybe like a Brian De Palma movie or something like that. It kind of reminds me of that sort of era and vibe, but at the same time we have at the forefront a cell phone, and that modernizes it. I think that this poster is epic. I think I'm going to put this in S. I would 100% put this on my wall. Okay, Kill the Jockey. This one's also, again, another like red backdrop poster. I really like this one too. It's got a very fun concept, and I think it immediately gives you a little bit of sense of tone of what this movie is going to be about. You know, because it's got like an inherent sense of humor, this jockey riding a gun. My one maybe small complaint is that I don't love this gun being like realistic and also just kind of floating there. It does look a little bit like it's just photoshopped on. Whereas if it had been like illustrated, or maybe if we see a hand clutching the gun, I think that maybe that would be a little bit better. But having just like a realistic gun almost reminds me of, okay, somebody found a gun on Google, deleted the backdrop, pasted it onto Photoshop, and pasted it onto the poster. Also, I love the text. I think that the use of type here is just really solid all around. I might put it as like an A. Okay, Electric State. This one I don't really care for. It's immediately striking, that's for sure. It's very text heavy, but the text isn't particularly easy to read. Russo Brothers is kind of lost there. I don't know. As far as design is concerned, the only thing that they really had to work on was the text, and I don't know if I love the way that all this text looks on this poster. So I think I'm going to put this in C. Elevation. Okay, so this is kind of a generic action movie poster, but with the added element of this sort of monster creature being silhouetted. It does enough to sort of elevate, no pun intended, elevate this poster compared to other action movie posters. But like, if we just removed the silhouette aspect of it, it would be kind of generic, and I wouldn't be as big a fan of it. As it stands, though, I think it's like a low B. Okay, Emilia Pérez. Very excited to see this movie. I do like this poster quite a bit, actually. Like, I love the way that the credits and the title are all on its side. I love the names of the actresses and the director being in, like, different colors. There's not that much color on this poster at all, but you would look at it and consider it a colorful poster because of that design choice. And I think that it's really subtle but really clever. There's a really great level of cohesion in this poster. I might put this in A. Okay, The Gorge. Yeah, like this one's also quite good. We've been getting a lot of like pretty decent posters, not a lot of stinkers yet. I think that this is quite well done. Just the way that the title is sort of in the background, there's like a sort of feeling of immensity that this poster sort of gives off. It's just sort of like you think that what we're going to be watching is larger than life, you know, and it really sells the movie well, I think. And I like the cohesion with the color. It's close to Elevation in that it's a little bit generic, but it does enough to sort of stand out. Okay, the in-between. So we've already looked at a lot of posters that have this sort of illustrated vibe that sort of reminds you of the 70s or something. And it's always going to get points for me to have that sort of level of ambition of just like illustrated is just, it makes a poster look more kind of handcrafted than photoshopped and like cheaply done. So it's not cheap, but at the same time, I don't think it fully takes advantage of the concept that it's going for, right? Like it's a little bit scattershot. It's like I can see where they were going with it, but it just kind of looks a little messy. What I do like about it is that the way that they have these different characters integrate themselves into the poster. So there's a lot of floating heads, sure, but like this kid's obviously like standing in the sand. This kid's drawing the title. I really like that. These kids are also on the sand. This lady's like kind of walking along the beach. And then we get all of this with this bridge here that I'm assuming is like supposed to separate US and Mexico. I think all that's really good. It's just more so these characters here that are just sort of like there. And I think they were trying to like fill out the space, kind of make it feel like an ensemble piece, but it doesn't fully work for me. But I still think I'm going to give it a B. Okay, Karate Kid Legends. Here's another poster that has an illustrated character in it. I don't know why they didn't just go with everything being illustrated. If it weren't for the illustration of this character, which I think is kind of epic, I think that this is as generic a poster as one can be. But I think that the inclusion of this character in the middle being kind of illustrated, it reminds you of Bruce Lee, and like that's a cool homage, I think. And in general, it's nothing too egregious. It's just kind of like a generic, okay, two characters, floating heads, you know. So I think I'm going to put it in C, and I'm going to put it above Electric State. The Legend of Ochi. I like the sort of cohesion with the color, the yellow border, the yellow text. I really like this font that they used for the title. It's like everything's being kind of slanted, and I think that's kind of cool. I almost wish that the diagonals were a bit more consistent. You can see how on Legend, everything that's diagonal sort of seems to have the same angle to it. But here in Ochi, the H is kind of more angled than this space in the C. I don't know. It's a very, very specific nitpick. Nothing more to say. I think it's really well executed. It doesn't stand out too much, but it doesn't do anything wrong, really. It's perfectly good for what it is. So I might put it kind of there. Okay, Mickey 17. I feel like this poster, it does so much that's well. I love A Film from Bong Joon-ho above the poster. I love this kind of concept. I love the way that the numbers go up from 1 to 17. That's all super cool. My only like small qualm with it, though, is that I don't think that Robert Pattinson really fits that well with the rest of the poster. Like, in terms of color, in terms of the way that everything's illustrated and he's a picture, just something about it makes him sort of seem out of place. But everything else is just so awesome about this poster. I really love it. I really love the way that this title is sort of integrated into this design. He just sort of sticks out as being completely unremarkable on a poster that is so remarkable. So I think if it hadn't been for that, this could be like an S tier poster, but I think I'm going to put it in A. Okay, Moana 2. Yeah, this one's awful. Worst Moana 2 poster I've seen, and they've all been almost identical, but with different degrees of badness, and this one's easily the worst of the lot. It's like, at least the other ones were more simple. This one's like messy, just has seemingly a bunch of characters just kind of there, and not really adding anything to the poster. So that's a D, easy D. The Monkey. I quite like this poster. I think that this one does a really good job at being kind of creepy, but with like a comedic tone, and I think that that's sort of the point. I really like the way that the logo is sort of split in two. That's really well done. It's just a really solid poster, does just enough to sort of make it stand out. This has got to be like a high B, low A situation. I think I actually like it more than Becoming Hitchcock, but I think instead of putting the monkey above it, I think I'm going to put Being Hitchcock below it. Okay, Paddington in Peru. Yeah, unfortunately, pretty generic, and I'm very excited to see this movie, but this doesn't give me a lot of hope. It's just kind of bland. It's just our character, floating around on an umbrella. I guess that's kind of cute. Like, the landscapes are nice. Like, it's aesthetically pleasing. I will say that. It's aesthetically a pleasing poster, but there's nothing design-wise that's particularly remarkable about it. Yeah, I think this is like a classic C. Okay, the piano lesson. So, for one thing, I love the photo that they used here. I love these sort of like family portrait styles where everyone's sort of separated. So it's like an aesthetic that I really appreciate, and I love the lighting here. It's just a really, really beautiful family photo, and I love how the roof takes up most of the picture. Because that's really cool, because it gives you all that empty space to like fill with text, which is what they do. It's the text that's like a little bit weird about this. Like, I don't know why this text here is so hard to read. I don't know why they decided to do that. Having November twice, it's just like, I don't know, it's a bit overkill. I feel like this text here is what's a little bit out of place. And also, obviously, this text here, which you can't even read. This section here, I think, is spot on. Everything here is sort of lame. And everything else below it is epic and S tier. So I think I gotta put it in A. Okay, Room 6. Really love this poster. I really love how we can't even see this girl's face, but I love the lighting here. It's really cool, these sort of purple, blue vibes to it. It's just so cohesive. It's a really, really simple poster with so much empty spaces just sort of like absorb what's going on, and the title really sticks out. This movie was like not at all on my radar, but I just love the design of this. I think I'm going to put it in an S. Okay, the 6888. I gotta say, a little bit generic. It's all kind of a dull brown. It's not really nice to look at aesthetically. I feel like execution-wise, it's nice. It's not bad. It's not badly designed, I think. It's just not aesthetically to my taste. So I think I gotta put it in C. Even though it might deserve better, but I'm gonna put it in C just because I don't like looking at it. Ultimately, that's what's most important to me. Okay, small things like these. A great example of a poster that just depends on one single image and it's very text heavy. I just really love the way that this text frames his face perfectly. How small things like these creates this sort of bend here where his chin can go. So I feel like those sorts of details, they're sort of underlooked when looking at a poster like this. You don't realize how much effort it goes into making something so text heavy look aesthetically pleasing. And this one really does. I really love the consistency of the color scheme in the text. If like conceptually unremarkable, it's like the execution's really good. So I might put it there. Okay, Wallace and Gromit. Design-wise, there's nothing really to write home about. I guess we get this shadow here, but even this shadow, it's kind of hard to tell what the relevance is. Maybe it's a reference to the last Wallace and Gromit movie, and I'm just kind of forgetting. Or maybe it isn't, and it's just like this is supposed to be some villainous character, and I don't know, is it a giraffe? It's kind of hard to tell, and doesn't seem that villainous. I just don't really know what it's going for. And it says Vengeance Most Fowl, so I would imagine this is some sort of bird or something. But otherwise, I like the text. The text kind of seems like it's like an old Sunday cartoon, but I think this is like a C. It's like sort of design-wise, it's kind of unremarkable. Okay, so We Live in Time, like not poster-related, but marketing-related. There's a still from this movie that had like a weird carousel horse that became sort of a meme. It's kind of interesting that they decided not to lean into the meme because honestly, I don't think anybody would really know what this movie is. It looks kind of like a generic romance, and that horse kind of like put a spotlight on this movie. So I'm not surprised that they didn't lean into the horse, but they could have leaned into the horse, and I feel like that would have marketed the film better. I think as far as marketing is concerned, I think like more people would have gone to see this movie if they put the horse in all of its posters. Otherwise, I don't know. It's kind of generic, unremarkable in terms of concept. I really like the layout of the text. I feel like it's well done. It's well executed. I wouldn't really do anything different, but there's nothing about it that necessarily makes me feel like I want to watch this movie. I don't know. It's like a low B, high C situation. Wolfman. I do like the sort of subtleness of the text, the way that this one's just sort of left aligned. And I like the consistency with the text between the green and the gray. That's kind of cool. We have the text in the middle for the title, and that title is sort of dividing our characters at the bottom with the moonlight at the top. And obviously, like it being a movie about a wolf man, the moon is very important. So I don't know. In general, it's well executed. It's a little bit generic. Your Monster. I kind of liked the teaser poster a little better. I thought that one was a little bit more intriguing. This one, we get to see the monster in full view, and so it loses sort of the intrigue in that respect. The blood splatter is kind of cool. It's well laid out, it's well designed, it's got a good structure in general, and it has enough going for it that it does make it stand out, even if it is a little bit generic. So this is definitely like still in like the B area, but I think I remember giving the last poster an A. So we're going to talk about Wicked. Wicked. I hope I was fast enough with my other reviews to give this one the time that it deserves. Okay, so just from a design standpoint, it's an homage to the Broadway poster. And that one's pretty iconic. Unlike the other ones, which it's like, I don't know, it's trying to market the movie, but I felt like it was marketing it poorly. This one is trying to market it to the fans of the Broadway show, so I can totally see why they went with this. It's sort of inoffensive, so I think I'm going to put it in the C. Now, speaking on the controversy. So what happened was a fan made an edit to this poster, which is this, making it look more like the Broadway show, which is this. Now, the Broadway poster is really great. I just love, the simplicity of its illustrative design. I just love the way that the shapes sort of play with each other between the black and the white, the good and the light. And we have our character here whose face is hidden. Cynthia Erivo did not take too kindly to the fact that they hid her face in this. She said it was really, really offensive to her. On the one hand, I can sort of see where she's coming from, in the sense that historically, black actors and actresses have suffered erasure to one degree or another, especially in like blockbuster cinema. I'm thinking like the first Disney movie to have a black protagonist, I'm saying like Disney animated movies, was Princess and the Frog, and she's only black in it for like, I don't know, 15 minutes, because then she turns into a frog and then she's green. The same sort of thing when Pixar did Soul, the first Pixar movie to have like a predominantly black cast, and the character sort of turns into like this blue soul thing after the first act of the movie, and then turns into a cat. So again, it's sort of like historically black people have sort of suffered this sort of erasure, in the sense that, okay, yeah, we'll make a character black for political reasons, but you know, let's not take it too far. And even in this case, it's like our black actress is the one who's painted all in green. I don't blame Erivo for feeling like she's being erased from the poster, because it's like, you know, she's got this big break, you know, she's not like a household name by any means, but being like the protagonist of this huge blockbuster movie is going to make her a big household name. Having that sort of opportunity and then getting removed from it, in a sense, in the poster, I can see why she wouldn't like that. And that kind of goes into what I feel about the controversy overall, which is that I think that this is sort of the wrong hill to die on. The fan editing the poster is doing so out of engagement with the material, right? It's obviously done out of love, because if it were done as like a personal slate against Cynthia Erivo, there wouldn't be that many changes. But there's a ton of changes here. They make the background really green, again, to look like the green background in this one. They make Ariana Grande's hand, they lift her hand higher so that it looks more like the original poster. There's like a ton of them. They also change her lips, because in this one, she's kind of like sulky, and it's way more interesting to have her character be smiling cheekily. That adds intrigue to the poster. Her expression here is sort of indifferent, and I can totally understand why the fan who created this poster wanted to change her lips to red, obviously to make them look like the Broadway one, but also to make her smile. This is, I think, unquestionably a better version of the poster. Personally, I truly do think that. I think what Erivo's forgetting here is that this poster is inherently designed, well, I don't mean this poster, I mean this poster is inherently designed to be compared to that Broadway poster. So I think it's a little bit unfair to think that the fan who decided to make it seem more like the Broadway poster is sort of doing it with cruel intentions. Erivo does think that it's done out of cruel intentions, because she's kind of comparing it to other things that were done that were sort of mean-spirited to her. And she's comparing them and saying, it's just as bad as these other things that have been said to me that have been cruel in spirit. If she thinks that this was done in spite or done as sort of an offense to her, I think that she's sort of taking it too personally. I want to be aware of my place in this conversation, in that I'm only really talking about posters here, and I'm talking about design, and I think that this design is better. So I can only really speak to that. I can't speak to the legitimacy of her complaints. Being a black actress, she's obviously way more aware of the sorts of things that are targeted to her as a black actress. But those are my 2 cents. I think that this wasn't done out of spite. This was done, I think, out of love to the original. And I think that it can only be positive for the movie that people want to engage with the design of a poster, or of the marketing, or of the trailer, or anything. You know, I think that any fan that's engaging with this material is doing so because they're excited for the movie. As someone who really likes design, I enjoy designing things. I sort of feel bad for the fan who caused so much offense to her, when I feel like their intentions were only positive. I think that that's where it's sort of unfair to the person who's obviously a fan, who obviously wants to watch this movie and is the target audience for this poster. The target audience for this poster are people who know the Broadway show. And the person who edited it obviously loves the Broadway show and felt compelled to make the poster look more like the Broadway show. So those are my 2 cents on that controversy. Let me know what you think in the comments. And overall, hope you liked this video. Cheers and good luck to everyone. Have a great day. Like and subscribe.